The Big E Sports Show.
Yeah, we got it going on,
The fastest hour in sports entertainment. We don't just talk about the headlines. We bring you some of the most engaging and colorful guests each and every episode for your listening pleasure. Now, without further ado, here's your host, Elissa Walker-Campbell.
Hey, Elissa Walker-Campbell, welcome back to the Big E Sports Show, our first program of 2025. You can join us online at X or Twitter, Radio Sports, eradiosports.com. Email the show info@eradiosports, and always on YouTube. And as promised, it is time to tee it up. The Big E Sports Show brings you the latest news and notes on the PGA Tour. And we may be in a brand new year, but some things never change. And how about Hideki Matsuyama? He lit things up last week in Hawaii at the Century and set a PGA Tour scoring record, 35 under during the opening event of 2025. We've got a lot to get into in our next segment. Always a true pleasure when we have the opportunity to catch up with our regular guest, former PGA Tour player. He's an author, and that is Larry Miller. Happy New Year, Larry.
Happy New Year to you and everyone out there that on the golf courses of America, as long as there's no snow on the ground. But anyway, Happy New Year. Yep, a good fresh new year for golf, and excited to get going with it.
Hey, Super Bowl 59 is in New Orleans. You're based out of Mandeville. How are things when we talk about the game of golf in the state of Louisiana and surviving these extreme, bitter cold conditions? Mother Nature's not friendly.
Well, they are frantically trying to fix all the potholes in the city so that the Super Bowl people, don't have to ruin their cars driving around. But no, they're just kind of sprucing things up, and getting everything looking nice and preparing for a huge crowd and, a lot of excitement. It brings a lot of money into the city, which is needed, for the infrastructure. And we have this Super Bowl every 5, 6, 7 years or so. And it's an exciting time here in the city. Everybody really buys into that and supports it. I just wish the Saints were in it, but, it might be a while now.
It's an exciting time. The NFL playoffs are here. We are looking forward to all the games this weekend, wild card round coverage. But let's go back and talk some about Hideki Matsuyama. I mean, made history last weekend, 35 under. As I mentioned, that's the lowest score in PGA Tour history, beating the old record of 34 under set by Cam Smith. So Hideki, he's an accomplished pro, but how would you just overall describe his game right now?
Well, I'll tell you. So Hideki's he's like a little machine. He's very meticulous. He's got that noticeable pause at the top of his backswing. But the real feature of his game is his iron play. And, there's been a debate for years about what's the most important part of the game. Is it putting? Is it driving? But Mark Brody, who founded the system of strokes gained, which the PGA Tour uses for their stats, he found out after hundreds of thousands of keeping statistics on the PGA Tour and other tours too, that it turns out that the most important part of the game really is approach shots to the green. And that he outlined that in his book, Strokes Gained by Mark Brody. But anyway, it's no surprise then, because Hideki Matsuyama is a great iron player. He always has been. And for that matter, so is Colin Morikawa. And great iron players on courses like desert courses, which is Target Golf and out in Hawaii, that's why they play so well out there. And 35 under is ridiculous. That's crazy, because he not only had to hit it close a lot, but he had to make putts. But nonetheless, he's a great iron player. It's the strongest part of his game. He's very meticulous about it, very workmanlike, the way he swings and goes about his playing. And so I think that great iron play, and he's got a great history in Hawaii too. He's won there before. And so it's not a surprise. It is a surprise to shoot that many under. But as we know, the talent is evolving out there on the tours. They're having to get longer. They're shooting lower scores. And so you can see it coming. And I don't think that's the last low number you're going to see this year.
Hideki does have a stellar resume. Do you think that his achievements perhaps are overlooked and maybe he's a little bit underrated when we talk about Hideki Matsuyama?
I think so, and I think part of that is because of the fact that he doesn't speak English, and so the public doesn't have a relationship with his personality like they could if he was a little bit more verbal with his interviews, and with his interaction with the press. And the public really doesn't know him. They just see him swing the golf club, which is a thing of beauty, really. He's got a great golf swing with that, like I said, that noticeable pause. It used to be more pronounced, actually, and he's sort of cut that down a little bit. But he still has a very set position at the top before he starts down. But I do think that I'm surprised he hasn't learned English by now. Maybe he just doesn't have an aptitude for languages. I don't know, but anyway, I think that's why.
It was incredible last weekend, 35 under. When we kind of break down the game tape, I mean, how do you think? I mean, you mentioned he is regarded as the best iron player on the PGA Tour over the past 10 years. But what do you think was the key for him making so many birdies? I heard that he made a putter switch.
He made a putter switch right before he went to a center shafted putter, which actually is easier to line up than one that has some offset, or a gooseneck or something in the shaft. It's more of a straight shaft, center shafted putter, easier to line up. And I don't know. I don't know. I mean, obviously, he had to make a lot of putts to shoot that many under. I don't care how good you hit the irons, you still got to knock it in the hole. And so probably going to that putter just got him to, get a little bit more aligned with his lineup for the putts, and he just made more putts. So I think that was a good switch at the right time, and we'll see if that continues. He's going to play again this week and see if he goes low again.
Hey, Larry, what are your thoughts about Colin Morikawa? Here he came so close. He fired 32 under, but he still came up short. It looks like he's in a really great place to start off the brand new year.
Yes. Well, he's known as a fast starter every year. He won that first major right off the bat. So he seems to start off strong. But I think part of that is because of the courses they play. And once again, he is probably next to Matsuyama, the best. He may be the best iron player, but he's at least as good. And he's known for that. I mean, he hits that little drop fade, where the ball goes out there pretty straight and then drops about 2 or 3 yards to the right. Very controllable. And you can go for just about any pin with that kind of action. And so strength of his game, again, is the iron play. And so and plus being a fast starter, he just seems to, the courses that they play when they start off on tour lend themselves to great iron play, resulting in good scoring. And so I think that's part of it too. But we'll see as the season goes along. But those two guys, are great iron players. Morikawa, I'm surprised he hasn't won more than he has, and probably the putting holds him back a little bit. So maybe he should go to a center-shafted putter like Hideki.
Well, a guy that knows a thing or two about winning, that, of course, is Scotty Scheffler. He certainly had almost a supernatural 2024, but had a little oopsie-daisy in the kitchen in the month of December. And so he will not make his season debut next week at the American Express because he injured his right hand, and it's not healed enough for him to play at TPC West. So let's talk about Scotty Scheffler. What are the expectations for him in 2025, and can he replicate that incredible success that he had last year?
Well, I think we got a little preview a few weeks ago when he won that tournament down there, and he's not going to miss a beat. I mean, the guy is absolutely a ball striking machine, and he is elevating the greens and regulation standard greatly with his play. I looked it up. Tiger Woods' best year was 2000. That's when he was in his absolute prime, winning the U.S. Open by 15 shots. And his greens in regulation were average of 13.5. Now, that was his best year. His absolute best year was 13.5 greens, which means he's missing 4 to 5 greens around in regulation and still shooting those numbers. Scotty Scheffler is elevating that number. He's pushing 80% of greens in regulation, which is unprecedented on the PGA Tour. And so the fact that he hits so many greens in regulation obviously gives him more birdie chances, and he's making them. He's averaging over 4 birdies around, close to 5, over a 4-day tournament. That's a minimum of 20 under. If he has hot rounds, it's even more. And that's why he's winning everything he plays in. And it's because of the greens in regulation. So driving is not the most important part of the game, and neither is putting. It's the approach shots to the greens. If you give yourself enough chances, it's just simply a matter of numbers. You're going to make, the more greens you hit, the more birdies you're going to make because the more birdie putts you have. It's simply a matter of, of math. And that's why. But I don't think we're going to see him miss a beat. He'll come back after this injury fresh, which is even more scary when he's fresh. And I think he's going to have just as good a year as he did last year.
Well, we're getting ready to round out our segment. Give us a quick hit. Did you have a chance on Tuesday night to watch the TGL debut, the Infused Indoor Golf League? The reviews, they seem pretty positive. I mean, just something kind of fresh. Indoor golf. What say you? What do you think, Larry?
Well, I've heard nothing but negative reviews, especially on the PGA radio and Sirius XM.
Oh,
Everybody
really?
calling in. Yeah, it's it's not real golf. Any serious golfer, listen, they might watch that thing one time out of curiosity, but then after that, they're not curious anymore. And it's very uninteresting. I don't see that really having a long life at all. It's not real golf. Serious golfers don't want to watch that. Hitting into a screen, I don't care how big the screen is. And so I don't think it's going to have a long life. And I'm totally disinterested in it myself.
Hey, good stuff. Always great to catch up with Larry Miller as we go inside the ropes, our first program back in 2025. You stay warm, Larry, and we look forward to connecting here next week.
Great. Look forward to it. And Happy New Year again to everybody.
Happy New Year.